Hello and thank you for joining me. I'm Heather Forgan of stampwithnellie.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the UK. I've made this card for the Project Share blog hop with my friends Jill, Jez and Verity, and there will be a link to that blog hop in the description for this video. Our theme this month is geometric, so I would have loved to have used our stitched rectangles or the triangles, but they have been discontinued. So I've gone with squares and using the Stylish Shapes dies, which I did have, already lost. No, I haven't, I've just covered them up. So I had the choice of the squares or circles, and I wanted to do the floating strips technique. So this piece here is strips of designer series paper on acetate, and they kind of look like they are floating on the card. And then I've just used some extra squares on a square card. I don't often make square cards, but it's a lovely big size of a card on that. So the paper that I have used is this gorgeous Inked Botanicals, and I'll just give you a quick flick through so you can see the kind of things that are on here. Lots of lovely colours and patterns that have actually been printed, or some of them were printed with real flowers and leaves. And Stampin' Up do have a video showing you the process of designing this paper pack as well. So I'll put a link to that in the description for this video as well. So beautiful paper, and because we've got a cream background there, I have used Very Vanilla for my card base. And this is a 5.5 inch square card, and will easily fit in a 6x6 envelope. So let me get my trimmer and I'll make the card base, and then we can start playing about and making that floating panel. So I want to cut this down to 11 inches. So if you're using US cardstock, you're fine. Okay, and just take that little bit off there, then turn it around and cut it down to 5.5, and then score it on the long side at 5.5. Alright, so we've got my card base made. I haven't decided on the background colour. I think I'll go with this one. So I want this to be 5.25 by 5.25. Okay, so that will go on there like that, and we can mix up the rest of it as we go along. So for the floating DSP panel, I have lots of little strips, and I should have, there it is, a silicone mat. I've got this piece of window sheet that I had left over from something else, so it's no particular size, but I used the largest square from Stylish Shapes, so it needs to be at least 3 inches by 3 inches, and I mean at least. So mine is a bit bigger, give me a little bit more leeway. These strips are 3/8 of an inch wide, And then just kind of try and make sure I'm changing the colours and patterns up. I need another floral in there. Like that. Okay, so you choose your glue of choice. I am using wet glue, and I'm just going to put a thin line on there because I don't want it oozing out. Okay, so actually I'll do that one here, and I can just use a short bit on there. I have also cut a piece of scrap card. This was basic white thick card to 1/8 of an inch, and I'm going to put that there so that my spacing is consistent. Okay, and just enough glue to get it to stick but not ooze out. But because it's wet glue, I can slide it and make sure I've got that exactly where I want it. Take that out, move it down, glue the next bit. Again, I put that too far down and I have got some glue on there. So take that off with a dry cloth. Okay. So there are pros and cons to every type of glue. If you prefer to use a tape runner, you'd need to have one that was kind of narrow enough so that your glue didn't go over the side. If you use wet glue, you've got the chance of seepage, like mine. Just squeezing that along so that it's in the right place. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just quite like it to be if it can be. And I'm just using the silicone mat to protect my workspace, and because I will have glue on the ends overlapping there. Changing my mind again. Go with that one maybe, and then that one. Not forget, take that one out. Oh, I've got a little bit of seepage there. And oops. Okay, nearly there. So before I add another one in, I'm just going to see, do I have enough, or do I need to do something up in that corner there. So this piece will do the trick just fine. Oh, my little spacer. And I would only use the spacer once because it probably will end up with glue on it. Well, that should be okay. Should be fine. Take my spacer out. Let's check that now. That corner's covered. That one. The cutting line for this is in the middle off this bit, so that should be absolutely fine, like that. So I can die cut that. And what I will also do is die cut a couple of smaller squares. I think I did that one. And some of these other bits. I'll just trim that down. Oh, sorry. Keep that there. So I'll do that one, and I will do the next one down with that. Let's just chop that as well. And in fact, what I'll do is chop off the excess, because I've got quite a lot of excess on this. And the silicone mat is fabulous for that. Take that off just now. Chop this down. Take that bit off. Oh, it wants to stick, that bit. There we go. Right, so I am ready to do my die cutting. I will do that and be back with you in just a moment. So I've done my die cutting. I did have to run that through a couple of times to get it to fully cut, but just love that look. And as far as I can see, I don't see any glue sticking out there, just on me. Right, so there is one other bit I need to die cut, and that is my sentiment. And I used the Very Best Occasions, and we'll just bring back one of the scraps we had from, oh, sorry, I keep hitting that today. Don't know if it's maybe lower than normal. Yeah, so that was just the scrap we cut off when we made the card base. And I think I will use Lost Lagoon this time. I stamped the last one with Calypso Coral. Pop that in there. Oh, such a pretty colour. And then need me squares again. And I need the littlest one. I'm going to do it that way. Pop a bit of tape on there just to hold that in place. Give me a second. There we go. Right, let's get gluing. Let's get to making. Now, let me just assemble this. Ooh, see, this is the problem with Stampin' Up papers, is every time you think, oh, I think I'll use that, then you turn it over and you get an even prettier one. Do I want the yellow background? Or do I want the Lost Lagoon? Yellow, stick with your initial thought, Heather. It's just too tempting. Too tempting to keep changing your mind, because everything's so pretty and everything goes together so well that you can't really make a wrong choice. It's just all down to preference. There we go. Bone folder and give that a little squidge. There we are. Now, I need to decide on my arrangement. Don't want to do them exactly the same. So we've got two going that way. Could have two doing that. Do I? That way. Again, this is purely about preference. Happy birthday there. Shall I bring on my original one so you can see? That would be better, eh? Nah, I like the angles for all of them. Something like that should do the trick. Right. I have some pieces. I have some pieces of our foam adhesive strips. They are much longer than this, but I cut them down for something. Can't remember what. And to get this floating, I'm just going to pop some of them on the back of this acetate piece. You'll do on there. Don't need to do them all. I think I did on that one because I wanted it to be fairly solid. You'll do on there. And just one little bit more. In fact, I'll just use that bit on the edge. For that there. Oh no, let's just do that one. Honestly. Indecision ought to be my middle name. Right. Before I forget where I want them to go, let's pop them on. So I've got those corners roughly equal. Move that down a bit. I've changed it again, haven't I? And my happy birthday I'm going to pop up with dimensionals. Probably could have just used one, but I'm a belt and braces kind of gal. There we are. Let's take off all of these backings. Got that close to the edge on that one, didn't I? These foam adhesive sheets are fabulous for shaker cards. So you can kind of manipulate them around shapes and things like that. So it's easy to go a bit awry. Go in here. Decision made. At last, they say. At last. Now, the final piece of decoration is these iridescent pastel gems. Now, I bought these in the last mini catalogue and I don't think I used any of them. They are Calypso Coral, Balmy Blue and Gold, but with the gold, so that's the gold there, it does kind of pick up and allow the colour beneath to shine through to kind of coordinate better as well. So I'm going to use a biggie up here and a biggie down here. Now I know these are Balmy Blue and that's Lost Lagoon, but it's close enough for me. I'm going to do another one down here, and finally, yeah, we'll go with that. And there we have it. 2 square cards with lots of squares and lots of bling and floating DSP technique for the Project Share blog hop. Please do click on the description for this video to get a link to hop around and see what Jill, Jez and Verity have also created. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next time, take care. Bye bye.